I don't have the degrees he has. And guess what he doesn't have? He doesn't have an understanding of how the universe works.
You don't think Eric
Oh,
Weinstein
he
has
has no understanding of how the universe works because he has rejected the geometry that supports how the universe behaves. He didn't even evaluate the geometry. He did not. And then when I asked him about does an action times an action have a reaction concerning the one times one, he
Look at I have to stop. I am Dave T, your intellectual property attorney, dealing with everything from patents, copyrights, trade secrets, as well as trademarks. And this is the second video breakdown I'm doing of Terrence Howard on Patrick Bet David podcast. It was actually a pretty interesting podcast. I was initially thinking when I saw the actual title that says they stole my patents, I'm thinking I'm going to kind of, hey, look, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do one of those Stephen A renditions of kind of stay off the weed. But after kind of going through the entire video, and actual the third guy is a NASA physicist, Dr. Yu, who's been with NASA for 17 years. Hey, man, he was agreeing with Terrence Howard on a lot of things. You could tell, I don't want to say Terrence Howard was on his own, but you could tell he, had a lot of stuff accurate in the fact that he kind of knows what's going on, especially in a general sense. Now, whether or not his theories and some of the fundamental things that he thinks is kind of maybe going on at large is indeed correct. Maybe he is a situation, which I'm even kind of share my thoughts on that. But he's definitely self-taught in his science, in the science space and physics and things like that. And kind of this clip that we're going to get back to here in a little bit is essentially PBD asking Terrence Howard of Eric Weinstein. And man, it seems like Eric Weinstein is a bright guy, went to Harvard. Seems like he's more or less a businessman, financial guy. And it seems like him and Terrence Howard had a kind of disagreement on a number of things. And kind of Terrence Howard, that's where he's talking about that disagreement as far as he's kind of rejected essentially the science of the data, whatever the case may be, which I'm going to get back to. But before I do that, please hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm, as well as hit the subscribe button to be a part of the IP community where we talk about everything intellectual property. Hence the name of the channel. We do these current events that we're doing today. We do Shark Tank breakdowns, which I have to do after this. Then we do bring on people who have successfully built businesses by protecting their IP, and kind of they talk about their journey. We do lives typically every Sunday. I go up live for 45 minutes, hour, talk about a number of different topics, and then we kind of break down a lawsuit live, an IP lawsuit live. So a number of things that we do on the channel, but let's kind of get back to actual interview and see what Terrence Howard says about Eric Weinstein and just kind of patents, IP in general. Let's go.
Sophisticated. I hate that word. He ran away from it. He kept diverting. And guess what? We are not peers because he doesn't have it. He hasn't invented a new form of flight. He hasn't discovered unlimited midair bonding. He hasn't done any of the things that I've done. He doesn't have any of the patents that I have. Now, whether they want to monetize them or not doesn't change the fact that these things are real. And like I said, if I have to go to China and allow China to now build.
So, and I want to stop it really quickly because what he's talking about is, hey, they have patents. So again, I talked about in the last video, go check that one out. ChatGPT, PBD and his team kind of pulled up that, put in the ChatGPT, Terrence Howard has filed over 94 patent applications. 60 of them are granted, according to ChatGPT. But when you go on the website, USPTO website, as well as Google, Google says that he has filed many applications, but he has none granted. Then we go to the USPTO website, they only have Terrence Howard listed as an inventor on 3 patent applications. They don't show none granted. So it's definitely a discrepancy there. And I think what Terrence Howard is saying in terms of, hey, they have this information, but if they decide not to monetize it, you have what is called the Invention Secrecy Act, where the U.S. government and all governments, this is not a thing unique to the U.S. China has it, Japan has it, Russia has it, all these other intellectual property offices has it, where if you were kind of filing for some type of an invention on something that can have an impact on national defense or the economic impact of that particular country, they will make it secret so that others can't see it, because it can, like I said, disrupt that particular country's or have an impact on their defense as well as economic. So they didn't come out and say, hey, that's what they did. But me reading in between the lines as a patent attorney who's been doing this for 10 years, I'm assuming that some of those patent applications the U.S. has kind of kept kind of secret and said, hey, Terrence, you can't say anything about the details of it to the public. And that's kind of maybe irritated Terrence Howard, let's just say. So let's kind of get back to it and see what he says about it. Let's go. Which again, I'm gonna leave that to later. Let's go.
If I go to to DJI, I bet you they won't hesitate a moment to use linchpin. And then the US is unable to use them. And then what happens to it? If I give my energy system to another country, what happens to it? The same energy system that they're trying to squash here. What happens to this place if I do that, which they're forcing me to do?
See, look it, and this is he's going to say some stuff here that, hey man, that can put, I would say, Terrence Howard's health, let's just say, at jeopardy by the powers that be. But again, this is letting me know that Secrecy Act, because again, if you file for a patent application here, which you can still file for it in other countries, okay, what does it matter? Because all that stuff is going to be in a patent itself. However, if you are not allowed to do that because the U.S. is not allowing you to do that, yet they're kind of not doing anything with your invention. It seems like that's where the frustration lies with Terrence Howard as he's talking throughout this interview. That's why he said, hey, man, they're forcing me to go to China, one of these other countries, and say, hey, here's my invention. Let's do something about it, because the U.S. is not letting them do it. That's how he's talking, which leads me to believe, as an IP attorney, that they kind of said, hey, they kind of classified his inventions, his patent applications as from a secret standpoint, which is another kind of thing that I'm going to talk about a little bit as relates to trade secrets. Why not just keep this stuff secret and kind of do your own thing as opposed to kind of putting it out in the public to try to get a patent on it? Because that's one of the things, right? A trade secret is still a form of intellectual property that you're keeping a secret compared to a patent, which you're putting out to the public to the extent that the U.S. government allows you to do that, because it's not kind of infringing on any kind of secrecy acts. But why not just kind of keep it a secret and kind of do your thing with it, as opposed to saying, okay, I want to put it out in the public? I'm not sure. Maybe he kind of wants to get it out there as opposed to kind of keep this stuff to itself. But let's kind of get back to it and what he says about what the government in China and all that is doing here. Let's go.
You know that they took away my passport out of the blue, just took away my passport. First, they said my passport, that I had some child support things. And I was like, that's some BS. Took 4 months to argue that I had no passport issues with child support. Then it's like, oh, it's your taxes. It's you owe taxes. So we're going to take away your passport. Why? So I couldn't go to Dubai. Why? So I couldn't go and get this stuff financed. It's all the suppression. And I'm like, okay. So after I'm done here today, when I get home, I'm going to put online the equations necessary to have a thing called unlimited energy, to be able to pull energy directly from the flux, just to say, fuck you to the world. I'm going to show them how to pull energy directly from the flux.
Your thoughts when you're listening to it.
Hey, what your thoughts is, Dr. Yu? So again, that like I said, that is letting me believe that, or making me believe that the U.S. has kind of classified his inventions, his patent applications as secret. And hey, don't discuss them, don't talk about them. We're not going to release them to the general public. And that seems to be frustrating Terrence Howard. And yeah, man, you see it all the time. When these people want to get you, they will get you, or at least they'll try to stop you from doing things. If he all of a sudden had, child support issues out the blue and they revoked his passport so he can't travel to these other countries, yeah, I'm not sure. You guys have to let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section. Do you think Terrence Howard is just lying about that? I kind of believe him when he's talking about that. And to the extent that that is true, why would the U.S. kind of revoke the passport, try to put these child support issues or these tax issues on him? I'm not sure, man. It seems like something is going on nonetheless. But I did, as kind of I want to wrap up here, talk about one different thing, because I always like to look at the comments under the videos and see what people are saying. And there was one comment that I thought maybe was interesting that I do want to share with you guys. And it's kind of a bigger point. Matter of fact, let me see if I can blow this thing up. Oh, shit. I can't do that. So I'll just read the article. It said, as an inventor, all Terrence Howard has to do is build something using his ideals. Stop trying to get invited to the club. Beat them with success. Building cool models and concepts and writing the papers will not advance these ideals. Design and build something. And that, in my opinion, this was by adapt, overcome. Again, to me, this is somebody who doesn't know how this thing works. Because the whole thing about, again, Terrence Howard, and I didn't play this portion of the interview of him kind of building simulations to kind of justify the principles that he's talking about. But now that's the whole reason for trying to go to maybe Dubai and see these other countries to get funding so he can build this stuff. One of the great things about science and physics and math and all that is everybody can have kind of these theories, but then it's okay, can you test those theories? And a lot of times to test those theories, it costs money. And it seems like in this case, it costs a lot of money. That's why you need to go to Dubai and these other countries to kind of get investors to be able to kind of test these theories. And so this guy, the comment that I read just said, hey, man, just do it yourself. Build it. Don't try to get invited to the cool guys club, which on one end, I understand what the guy is trying to say is like, hey, and I don't think Terrence Howard is trying to get maybe kind of rubber stamped by these guys. He's just saying, hey, help me test my theories, kind of prove them right or wrong. And if we prove them wrong, that's cool too. But I think they're going to be proved right based on kind of my research and things like that. And that stuff costs money to do. And obviously it seems like Terrence Howard either doesn't have the money, is not willing to put up his own money for it. But that's not to say that he's kind of trying to get welcome to the club. It's like, no, I'm trying to get funding so I can do these things, since the government and the powers to be are not trying to help me out with this or whatever the case may be. But they're still trying to prevent him, again, i.e. going to China, going to Dubai, going to some of these other countries. I think he talked about giving it to China, and now it's going to be an issue. They're not letting him do that, which again, okay, you can't say you're not going to help me out, but then you can't say I can't get help from other people, funding from a standpoint to kind of do these things, because this stuff takes time, it takes money, it takes resources. So, and that's my only comment to that, because I thought he was like, nah, man, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But that's just kind of my thoughts on it. Let me know in the comment section. If you agree with Terrence Howard, go check out the couple hour long interview. I thought it was definitely it was pretty good. It was pretty interesting. It was pretty thought provoking, and the fact that kind of Terrence Howard went kind of back and forth with Dr. Yu on some things, it lets me believe that Terrence Howard is kind of well read on these kind of different principles. Now, to the extent that his theories are true or not, that remains to be seen. But he's definitely kind of understands what he's talking about in a general sense. With the Dr. Yu, the physicist from NASA, agree with him in a lot of cases on some principles that he talked about. So fascinating interview. Go check it out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this interview. Please hit the like button if you did, as well as hit the subscribe button. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.